Welcome to This Week in Morgan County. I'm your host, Russell Mokhiber. Our guest this week is Margaret Gordon. She's a member of the Morgan County Solid Waste Authority. Margaret, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. Our recycling center is called the Charles R. Biggs Recycling Center.
Yes.
Who's Charles R. Biggs?
Oh, so that was my dad, and I'm so proud of him getting it started. So, can I talk
Yes.
about? They moved here, and my mom and dad moved here in 1992. And within a couple of years, he got the authority going and started getting recycling going in the county. And he would pull a truck behind his truck, take it to Widmeyer parking lot, Great Cape Inn, and Pawpaw one Saturday each month, and encourage people to bring recyclables. And then he would take it, I think, to Martinsburg for processing.
Wow. What was your dad's work, and what brought him to Morgan County?
We did, and his grandchildren brought him here. We had lived here for 10 years before they came. Daddy was a civil engineer, and recycling, environmental issues were his passion.
And there was no recycling center here before that?
None.
What did people do with their recycling if they wanted to recycle before then?
So,
took it to neighboring counties, maybe?
Shame on us, yes. And a lot of things just ended up in the Morgan County landfill off of Detour Road.
All right. There's a crisis in recycling.
Yes.
Recently, the Morgan County Solid Waste Authority said we're no longer taking glass. And just personally, from that perspective, since most of our recycling is glass, we have a lot of paper also, we end up having to drive to Inwood to recycle, which is not convenient.
No.
Why was that decision made?
It's recycling right now is going through a crisis all across the country. And the first product that got hit was glass, but there are other changes, a lot of changes that are coming locally. The big reason why glass wasn't taken was because China decided they were not going to take our garbage anymore. A lot of recycled products were contaminated, were not clean, particularly plastic, but glass is another problem. And
China said to the world, look,
no,
we don't want your recycled stuff anymore. Stay away. And that triggered a crisis across the board.
Yeah, it did. It did. They were swimming in plastics and glass.
Okay, but just locally, to focus on the locally, Berkeley County still takes glass.
Right.
Morgan County does not. Why is that?
I think because Berkeley County has a bigger tax base and so more money to be able to process products that we don't have. For example, if to buy a cab for a trailer, it costs the same amount of money, but if you get more donations, more government support, bigger grants, you can buy, a bigger county can buy that trailer that a smaller county can't. We, in Morgan County, we do not break even in terms of profit on recycling, but you can't look at recycling based on profit. You've got to look at it based on value to the world.
There's this company called Southern Scrap, which Morgan County Solid Waste Authority relied on to take glass and plastic and what else?
Everything. Paper. The only thing that we didn't take to them, or they would come and haul it and bring it back. Yeah. Mixed metal and beverage cans. Those were the only two items that weren't taken.
And what did you do with those? What do you do with those?
There's a company in Falling Waters that takes those.
Okay,
yes.
But what happened to Southern Scrap? What's going on with that company?
The owner, a lovely man, came to the Solid Waste Authority's April board meeting and told us that Southern Scrap is going out of business as of the end of December 2019, and they would stop taking glass as of July 15th, 2019, which was 3 weeks ago.
Okay, but on the glass part, if they're going out of business at the end of the year, why couldn't we continue to recycle glass until the end of the year?
They stopped taking glass when we stopped accepting it. My husband, Pete Gordon, was on the authority at that point, and from my understanding from him, we could have gotten someone to take glass to Martinsburg, but it would have cost over $4,000 more than it cost to recycle glass at the time. And the authority just did not have that money to put into that. Glass is heavy. That's the big drawback for recycling glass. The product, it's called cullets, creates a better quality glass object like a bottle.
So why can Berkeley County take glass and Morgan County not?
My understanding, they take it to a different place and have the money to pay the higher cost.
To transport it.
To transport it.
Okay.
Once it gets transported and processed, it is a valuable product. We all feel terrible about not taking glass, but at this point, the focus has got to be on keeping recycling going totally as opposed to it stopping.
Right. We were just there recently, and we pulled up with a truck of paper products, and it was remarkable. There's 6 people who helped us unload that. So it's a well-run operation. Let's go through. What are you actually taking there now?
So plastic 1s and 2s, they're light, easily transportable. We break even on plastic, so that will continue to.
And what is 1 and 2? What exactly is it?
It depends on the chemical composition of the plastic. The higher ones have more, when it decomposes, there's more toxic chemicals that come off.
What about paper?
Paper and cardboard, we make a couple $1,000s a year on paper and cardboard.
And then there's cans and metal.
Aluminum cans and metal, we make $3,000 to $4,000.
You think electronics?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, we used to get a special grant to take electronics, and that was not continued.
When there was this cutback in April, what happened to the level of business at the recycling center?
The big drop was with glass. When glass stopped being taken, people either threw it away or took it elsewhere.
And what did it drop by? Half? More?
No, not that much.
What did it drop by? 20?
Well, it depends how you measure it. Total tonnage versus visitors, or people coming in to recycle. And I don't have those numbers in my head, but I'd be happy to provide them.
How is the recycling center supported financially?
Grants from 2 EPA type state grants. The commission just increased the amount they gave us from $15,000 to $20,000. Thank you, Morgan County Commission, for that. Donations are about $10,000. They're $5,000 to $10,000 from recycling materials. Tipping fees, which is a general amount which is given by the state to all of the recycling centers. We get $25,000 in that. Our total income is about $85,000. Costs are about the same.
About the same.
Yeah.
What are the prospects for increasing that so that the operation can continue to grow?
Increasing the income.
Yeah, increasing the income.
Okay. You can't think of the value of recycling based on profit. You have to look at it in a totally different way. The value of recycling is the difference that stopping creating landfills, stopping dumping plastic. Creation of plastic creates toxic fumes. It creates pollution that contributes to climate change. It has a petroleum in it, which is a finite resource. Most of the plastic that's created can't be reused, so it ends up either in landfills or it ends up in our oceans.
And you were mentioning before the interview about this giant mass of plastic floating around.
There are apparently masses in oceans all over the world. The biggest one is about 100 miles northwest of Hawaii and about that same distance from San Francisco, and it's 2 times the size of Texas. Not a flat surface. It goes down into the water. Scientists have not been able to measure how far down it goes. You think about the effect of that on ocean life, on fishing. Do we want to eat fish that have ingested all this plastic? And there's a whole economy that supports itself as fisher people, who go out and collect fish so that we can eat them. What is the value to us fisher people to have a clean ocean? That's how we have to look at it, not in terms of profit to the recycling center, but value to the world, to these different economies in the world, with making the world cleaner, safer, and better for all of us to live in. If we could reuse all the paper that gets created, I mean, that wishful thinking, but just picture that in your mind. The effect on the world would be not eliminating deforestation, but reducing deforestation. Paper can be totally reused to make more paper, and you don't have to cut down trees if you're using recycled paper. It just makes so much sense because that keeping forests going is so important to stopping CO2 emissions, which is what's creating climate change. I mean, that's the simple progression. It's more complicated, but...
We have a conscientious county. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
are very concerned about the crisis in recycling
Yeah.
and what can be done. If people wanted to get involved with the Morgan County Solid Waste Authority, tell us about your governance structure and your process of meetings and all that, and how people could become involved.
So that we have meetings once a month.
Where are the meetings?
At the Episcopal Church, at the side building there, the house. They are at 4 o'clock, the second Tuesday at 4 o'clock. It's because we are supported by public money. They are open to the public. We observe the requirements of the open meeting law. We would love people to come and learn about recycling and get involved. Boy, there are some people there, and I forget the man's name, but he volunteered at the center at least once every weekend this whole year. People can come and help. Brenda and JR, they are great workers, but it's hard to be out there on that blacktop in the heat or in the cold, helping with people who can't get out of their cars, helping get their recycling into the trucks. People could come in and help with that. We're open. It's on the Facebook page.
Right, so you got to check first because you don't want to go down there with a load of stuff and it's closed because of heat or snow or whatever.
So it's when it feels like 90 degrees or above. And the reason why is because the people who work there are real human beings. And to work on that asphalt, which heats up to 120 degrees, and there's no shade for them. It is tough, tiring work, and we are very lucky that we have such good workers down there. The other thing that people can do to help recycling, and this is not just for us, recycling any place. We're going to have to start rejecting plastic that's contaminated. We'll have to pay for it to be hauled away, and if it's contaminated, it's going to be we'll have to pay for it to be hauled back.
So when you say contaminated, contaminated with what?
So think of your Skippy peanut butter jar. You have to wash it out and get all of that oil out of the jar, all of the peanut butter. If you don't do that, it's dirty plastic and it can't be recycled. When you put plastic in the bin, you can't put in, the big culprit is the single-use plastic bags from department stores, the plastic wrapping on vegetables that you get at Food Lion. If that goes into the plastic bin for recycling, the whole thing will be rejected and it'll be brought back to us. And we haven't thought through what will happen to it.
And that will cost money.
Taking out a roll-off truck, it's going to cost 3 to 4 times taking the trailers that we have now. And if the plastic roll-off has to be brought back, that will kill recycling in Morgan County.
What about, is there any chance of some kind of agreement with Berkeley County to haul glass or plastic over there instead of having an independent?
We have talked about that, and I think that we will approach Berkeley County. I actually talked to Mr. Hogbin about whether our futures were tied together. We would still have to get it from us to them, which is a cost of a tractor trailer.
Right.
And we'd have to get it off the truck there in a way that they could combine it with their products and get them out.
If people wanted more information, there's a Facebook page, Morgan County Solid Waste Authority. Is there a website or?
Yes.
And there's a website, so just type that into Google and
Yes.
find it, and people get in touch with you.
Yes.
And come to the meetings and
Yes.
support recycling in
Yes.
Morgan County.
Yes.
So thank you, Margaret, for your good work, and thank you, your father, for starting this conscientious movement in Morgan County.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for watching This Week in Morgan County.